started. Um, it started some years ago when I was really depressed about something and it was just eating away at me. And I just blew up and I was in my living room and I just started screaming out to God. I was like, why? Why me? Why? And few days later, my sister came by with this book called The Secret Things of God. And that book is by Dr. Henry Cloud. And that book gave me a good perspective. Checking out these flyaways. A good perspective of why things were going the way that they were in my life. And the bottom line of it was just because it was the person who I was at that time. And that was what needed to change. So, one of the things that I prayed for during that time was that my family and I would get to a church that would teach us how to be healthy Christians. So, that prayer is why we ended up in Dallas. And I went to visit a church, and at the time, that the pastor was talking about a book. His sermon was loosely based off of a book that I was reading at the very same time that he was doing the sermon. So in those things, I just look at those things like, okay, those were God appointed crossings. That, how much of a coincidence is it that I'm reading the same book that this pastor of this church that I'm visiting is doing this sermon loosely off the same book? That was a God moment for me. So after the sermon, they had these cards that you filled out and you give your information and they give you a gift and then someone just follows up with you. So I was expecting a phone call from somebody from the church and I got a call and I answered the phone and I said hello, and it was the pastor from that church. And so I was just super excited, but I was driving and I said, okay, well, can I call you back? I'm driving. And he was like, sure. And so after I stopped driving, I called him back and I found myself just telling him all the things that I just told you guys, and then just giving some insight of who I was at that time. And I knew I had gotten to a place that I was okay with sharing my story, good or bad. And one of the things that pastor said to me was, he said, let me get it right. It's good that you know where your pain is. Now, at that moment, that just kind of flew over my head because, I was excited that this pastor took the time to call me and say, hey, I'm just really grateful that you came to visit the church, and was there anything that I could do for you? So just that thing that he said, it's good that you know where your pain is, that flew over my head. But now when I think about that, why is knowing where your pain is important? It's important to know where your pain is because that's a starting point, or can be a starting point. It's a very good starting point with getting on your journey to personal development. Me acknowledging that I was in pain and me wanting to know why was the gateway to opening why I was in pain and what could I do to fix it. So what did the book, The Secret Things of God, what did that start? That started me on a journey of knowing where my pain was, what I needed to do to try to fix it. It it gave me an idea of how being in that pain had stunted my growth in the sense of where I was going, what I was going to do in life. And then it also made me aware that my family was directly affected by the pain that I was going through. And if I didn't do anything about that, then what I consider a generational curse or generational activities, things that happen from generation to generation to generation, needed to stop. If I didn't get this together, my family would experience the same thing, so it needed to stop. So that took me on a journey of the secret things of God, then to the book Boundaries, when to say yes, when to say no, and take control of your life. And it took me on this journey of just discovering who I was and how to stop that pain and how to live an abundant life. And that's why I say that your journey to personal development and being a better you starts with acknowledging that you have pain and then doing something about alleviating that pain. So if there's something in your life that you know is hindering you, that you know that is something painful, that is stopping you from being who you're called to be, it's stopping you from knowing your purpose, then I would highly recommend that you deal with that you get on the road to being a better you. Now, if you need a community of people that will help you with that, then I highly recommend Empower Network. Here's what we're getting in Empower Network. We're getting help from the inside out. So we're changing our mindsets. We are embarking on personal development. We're embarking on creating this community of people that are right where you are in your journey. So some of us, may be a little further away, but there's always somebody right there where you are that you can walk with and that you can grow with. And growing means the personal development, changing your mindset, and also creating an income that will sustain you, an income that if you work it, it will work for you. Meaning that if you want to spend more time with your family and friends, you want to take more vacations, guess what? With Empower Network, you'll have the time and the money and the opportunities to do just that. So if you're looking for that type of environment and you're looking for full-time or part-time income and you're willing to work for yourself as good as you would work for a boss, then I highly recommend that you get in touch with me and let's get started with Empower Network. So until the next video, this is Sharice Taylor from Dallas, Texas. Talk to you later. Bye.